How can restraint benefit your music? Let's find out. Hello everyone, welcome back to another in the studio. A little bit of a different topic for this one, but let's dive right in. I've been noticing something lately when people send me their tracks for feedback, and that is the producer will have a great melodic idea, maybe a great little hook, a nice little riff, or a very interesting melodic theme of some kind, but they overplay it, they just overdo it. They kind of beat you over the head with it. So by the time you're halfway through the track, you've heard it so many times that it's not that special anymore. So that's where restraint comes into play. And I have been majorly guilty of this in the past, but it's really something I try to consider now when I'm arranging and producing, in order to get more impact out of my, melodies and hooks and whatnot. So what we're going to do is take a look at 3 of my own tracks where I've tried to really practice some restraint to get the most out of the melodic ideas in the track. So the first track we're going to look at is my remix of Quiver's 8-Bit Eclipse. I made this track in late 2018. It was part of a remix contest. I ended up being one of the winners of that, so that was awesome. The track's out now on Quiver's Controlled Substance. So we're just going to play a small little section of it, and then I'll just talk a little bit about it. So here we go. This is Quiver 8-Bit Eclipse, and this is my remix. So here we go. Okay, that was my remix of Quiver's 8-Bit Eclipse. So for this one, you might have noticed these like deep synth hits in this area here, leading into kind of the main little, section of the track. And those deep synths only occur in that section. They kind of work to help, kind of lead into the last main section here. And they're not present anywhere else in the track. So that's a good technique, is to, just use a melodic idea of some kind in only one section of the track. And that way, when it does play, it has more impact. And then at the end, we have this final like pad melody. And it's the same sound as the other pad, but it's a little bit more complex and there's a little bit more to the actual melody. And at first I had that repeating throughout the track, and I was like, no, it feels like it's too much. So I just stripped back the pad melody, to a much simpler version, and that's what's kind of repeating throughout the track, and I'm just kind of filtering it in and out, and then we finally get the full, you know, complete pad melody at the very end here. And I just thought it really kind of just, that's the finale of the track, and then it just kind of tails off into the outro. So that's how I've kind of used restraint here, to have that kind of just a one-time moment where that full melody plays. And I thought it worked out quite nice in this particular case. Okay, let's move on to the next example. The next one is a newer track that just came out just a couple weeks ago. It's my remix of Celestial. It's out now on Droid 9. Let's play it from maybe about here. You know, we'll play it from like right here. Okay, that was my remix of Celestial. So this one is kind of an interesting arrangement. I mean, we don't even get the claps until like nearly 5 minutes. The claps don't come in until almost pretty much 5 minutes into the track. I've really just tried to hold the tension with this one and then have this kind of big, kind of epic breakdown. So throughout the track, we just have this kind of repeating one note synth that just kind of drives the track. And then we don't hear that secondary arp until 5 minutes 30. It doesn't even enter the track till the very last breakdown. And it's the interaction between that main repeating synth or kind of an arp that just stays on that one note and the other arpeggio, and the way they work together is, you know, really creates a nice interplay. Because the repeating arp that's playing for the majority of the tracks, it's repeating over one bar, and it's pretty much one note. The only time that it changes notes is right before the last drop. But it's, you know, one note for 99.9% of the time. And then when this ARP finally comes in at 5 minutes 30 in the last breakdown, it's repeating over a bar and a half, and it's much more melodically complex. There's more notes to it, and the way those two interact with each other, I thought worked really well. And then that kind of builds the tension into the last drop, and then everything kind of culminates over here. We get that kind of sustained synth sound, which only happens once in the whole entire track. So that's how I've kind of tried to use restraint. I mean, I really liked how those two ARPs worked together, and I was really tempted to play them together much earlier, but I thought that doing it this way had way more impact when it finally does happen. And it kind of left, I felt like it kind of would leave the listeners wanting more as well, instead of just kind of beating them over the head with it, So that is Celestial. Let's move on. The next track we're going to look at is another new one. This one just came out just a couple weeks ago, depending on when you're watching this. But let's listen to a little bit of this one. So this is my remix of Time by Serge Lander. It's out now on Balkan Connection. So here we go. This is Time. And that was my remix of Serge Lander's Time, out now on Balkan Connection. Okay, so for this one, this like melody here that happens in the breakdown, that was the melody that drew me to accept the remix. When I heard the original, I liked the original melody, so I cut it up and rearranged it and reprocessed it, but still left it close enough to the original where you can still tell it's from the original track, but it only plays in the breakdown. It doesn't play anywhere else in the track. So it's kind of like a one, it maybe repeats 3 times the whole 8-bar sequence. And that's the only time you hear it in the track. So, I was really kind of picky and choosy to maybe just have it. I wanted it to have its one moment in the track, because if I played it in the beginning parts of the track and the later parts of the track, the other elements, the other arps, the other sounds I have going, were just clashing way too much with it. So I really just try to just let it have its moment in the breakdown, let it shine, and then don't play anywhere else. And practice a little restraint. And then here we have kind of everything kind of culminating together. And I feel like that pad that comes in this section here, it really just kind of ties everything together. And that's kind of like the finale of the track. And that pad only plays in that one spot. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the track. So that's just kind of a few examples of how I've tried to use restraint to get more impact out of my, melodic ideas. Because I mean, if you overdo it, then people, they don't have anything else to look forward to. If you really, think about how you use your riffs and your hooks, and maybe just practice a little restraint, then the listener is going to be like, oh man, that was a sick, sound. And they're kind of going to be listening for when that comes in again. They're going to be anticipating it. Or, maybe it only plays in one or two spots in the track, but it's just a really epic moment, and it makes them want to listen to the track again, so they could experience that moment again, because they're itching for more. So there you go. Restraint. I think it's kind of something that is quite important, but I never really hear many people talk about it. So I thought I would do this video. So hopefully you found this somewhat useful. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Take care, and I'll see you soon. And one more thing. In the next video, we're going to make this synth sound from my Time remix. It's a fairly simple sound, but it plays a very important role in this track. So we're going to go over the sound design for that. I'm going to show you exactly how I made it in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Take care, everyone. We'll see you.